In Luke chapter 6, 48 and 49, Christ was speaking to the crowds. He often spoke to them in parables, which were basically simple stories that were culturally relevant to those people that they could understand. And in this one, this is what, and again, I'm coming back to the building. I love buildings, so I had to go with the building theme. And it says this, starting a little bit before that, and I'm going to slide down here just a bit. As everyone comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. They are like a man building a house who dug down deep, laid the foundations on a rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house, but it could not shake it because it was well built. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. That moment, the torrent struck that house, it collapsed, and its destruction was complete. Becky and I, when we left the mission field, we came home to my dad, who was 90 years old at the time. He was living on his own in his own home. My daughter was there with him, staying with him, and she was working, so she'd leave early in the morning and get home late at night. And often by the time she got home, he was in bed. So when we got home, we realized that it wasn't a great situation that he was in. We found out that he'd fallen a few times, he'd got his medications mixed up. And so we just decided after it was a very tough decision to leave the mission field, but we decided that it was time to stay home and take care of family. And I was glad for the last year and a half that we did have with my dad before he passed away. But just before he passed away, Billy called us and said, hey, I've got something that I think you guys might be interested in. Somebody told us about you guys. I pulled your resume out, and he says, you'll be a great fit for this. And I'm like, okay. So he began to explain the MAPS program to us. So anyway, just before that happened, Becky, we had sold our house. So we owned a home here in Birdsboro, not too far down the road from here. And Becky was saying, hey, we need to find another place to live. You know, when your dad passes away, we're going to have to sell the house. And anyway. So she says, I want to buy an old house. I want to buy something that we can fix up. And it was what we could afford. And I'm like, okay. So we had the house inspection done. The inspector comes through and he comes back and he says, everything looks good. He says, you're all set with this house. And I said, well, I'm like, okay. I wanted, like I said before, I like everything level and straight and plumb and no leaks and plumbing in good shape and electrical in good shape. And he said, well, the plumbing's new, the electrical's new, everything looks great. And I'm like, okay. So we went ahead and we bought the house. We didn't move into the house. We knew it needed some tender loving care, so we began to remodel it. And we hadn't been there, I don't believe we'd been there a week, when I went into my daughter's room and I started pulling the carpet up off the floor, and I realized that when I was standing on her corner, the whole corner of the house would bounce. And I'm like, this isn't right, there's something wrong here. So we began to look, and I realized that there was a crack in the foundation. So I called the inspector back, and he comes in and he looks at it and he says, that must have just happened. And I'm like, no, that didn't just happen. There's a crack in the foundation and that it's dropped. It did not happen in a week. So I'm looking at this foundation and I'm like, how in the world are we going to get this fixed? So I called a couple of people and it was expensive. And I'm like, boy, we can't do that. We won't have anything to finish the rest of the house. So I got on the internet and I looked, how do you fix a cracked foundation? You know what? YouTube is a great thing. It's there. So I got my boys together and we went out and we started digging around the corner of the foundation, and I dug down and I got to a spot where I got some blocks slid underneath the corner, and I bought a jack, I put the jack in it, and I started jacking it up. Up comes the foundation, and it bumps up against the plate on the house, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a good thing. Everything is coming together. I'm going to be all right. We'll just get something and shim it up underneath, pour some concrete, and we'll be in good shape. So we started shooting it up, and I twisted the jack to let the pressure off from the jack, and the whole corner crumbled. It literally just fell apart. And I'm standing underneath, I'm underneath the house on my hands and knees looking at this, and I can see the boy's feet outside of the house all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? So I backed up and again, I went back to YouTube. We started all over again, and we dug down, and I poured a big concrete slab underneath the house, a foot. That's where our lives need to be, is on a footer. What footer are you built on? Are you built on a footer that is monetary? Are you looking for, are you standing on a job? Are you standing on money? Are you standing on family? What are you standing on? I found out since then that the best thing for us to have our foundation built on, or our footer built on, is on Christ. We must have our lives built on Christ. This is that parable that Christ was talking about when he was talking with them. And I like the story from Luke. From Luke, because it says that he dug down deep. You know, the same story is in Matthew, but it doesn't say anything about digging down deep. You know, when we dig down deep, there's effort that has to go into it. It's not something that's just simple. You have to dig down until you get to something that's solid to build that footer on. And the footer is there, it's got several purposes. One, it's going to support the foundation. Two, it's level when you get done with it, so you've got a smooth, level spot to start from, and you build from there. Christ is that for our lives. Christ can be the footer of our lives. It's what we can build on, it's what we can count on. We know that he is consistent, and that whatever he said yesterday is the same today and will be the same tomorrow. After that, I started laying blocks. I put in cinder blocks and I built the foundation up from that. And as I started doing that, I began to think, hey, each one of these blocks represents some other factor of our lives. Prayer is one of the blocks. It's so important. Our communication with God. But we need to make sure that in that communication that it's not just one way. It's not just us constantly asking, Lord, help me with this, help me with this. Lord, give me this, Lord, give me this. We need to have our ears opened up and allow him to speak back into our lives. Two, the Holy Spirit. We need that guidance in our lives. We need him to be there with us, and we need the Holy Spirit to be willing to walk beside us. We need to have our ears tuned in to listen to what the Holy Spirit is guiding us in. If I was doing U.S. maps on my own, I literally would have been all done. We wouldn't be here this morning. I would have stopped. God's Holy Spirit was there. He was guiding, he was directing. He knew what was going to happen. He knew what we needed. And he's fulfilled that in our lives. He's given us that. He's given me a peace about where we're at. And now I'm beginning, it's still a walk of faith. It's still not easy. But he's been faithful. He's constantly giving and being there for us. I'm going to have to flip to my notes so I've lost my place. Prayer. I've talked about prayer. We've talked about Christ. Family, I think, is another one of those foundational things that we need to be. Especially as parents, people in our lives, we can speak into our kids. That's the next generation of the church. That's the next footer that's going to be there, that's going to continue this church on. They're the next generation that's going to push the gospel forward. We need to put into our kids' lives what the Lord has given to us so that we can grow that on. It's been, it's been an amazing trip as we have gone down each one of these steps and as we have built this thing. But a foundation is more than just bricks and mortar. It supports everything that's above it. It supports the house. Without that foundation, literally when I dug the foundation all around the bottom of our house, I found out that it was built on sand. And it was shallow, and it was movable. And I don't know if you've ever been to the beach before, and you kind of lay your towel down, and it's this beautiful sunny day, and there's a light breeze blowing, and all of a sudden the sand starts to sting because the wind's blowing at you. And that's what my foundation was under our house. It was just sifting sand. It was just moving constantly. And we have several cracks in that foundation, and I'm going home to do another one. I'm going home to pour another footer and lay more block and put it back into shape again. But God uses each one of us and our abilities to do these things. You know, building is one of those things. I've never studied it. I've learned it from other people. I've watched it. And God's just given me the ability to be able to see something happen in construction and be able to duplicate it and do it myself. And He uses those abilities that we have in our lives to do those things. And maybe your ability is to reach people for Christ. Maybe your ability, are there any construction people in here? There's no construction people in here? Anybody knows how to, everybody's pointing at you. Does anybody know how to run a hammer? Use a hammer or a paintbrush or push a broom? That's what MAPS does. MAPS there for that purpose. If you can do one of those things, you can work with us, and we would love to have you. We have multiple projects going on around this area. But anyway, God is so faithful to us in everything that we do. Pastor talked to us about the faith promise this morning. And I just think back, it is between you and God. You need to pray about it. And I don't know how often Becky and I have sat in service and God said, yeah, we want you to give to this. I want you to give this. And He'll give us an amount. And I'm like, boy, are you sure you want us to give that amount? That's a lot of money. And I'm like, I struggle sometimes with what God says to use for an amount. And there have been times when I'm like, Lord, I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know that I want to step out and take that much of a faith step. But every time we have, He has blessed us immensely. And it's been like our walk right here with MAPS, U.S. MAPS. It's been a faith walk, and He's blessed us over and over again. And I think of one time that we were in a service, and the Lord said, I want you to give this amount. And I'm like, Lord, that's a lot of money. But you know what? I mean, within a couple of days after that, we got that money back and then a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I hear you now. I know what you're doing. It's kind of that putting your son on the altar and standing there with a knife, and all of a sudden the ram shows up in the bushes. He's pushing us. He's trying to get us to grow and to step out and understand, hey, I am there with you all the time. I know what's best for your life, and I want to take care of everything that you need. All your needs are in my hands. And if He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, why can't we learn to trust Him for that? So this morning, when you get to thinking about that faith pledge and praying about it and trying to wrap your mind around it, if God gives you, maybe it's only going to be a couple dollars a month. Hey, if that's what God's called you to do, give that amount. But if He calls you to give $1,000 a month, grit your teeth and say, okay, Lord, I'm trusting this. That's what you are telling me. And make that step. He will bless your life for doing that. And it will further the kingdom of God. That's what MAPS is all about. We're here to come alongside of churches that are hurting, that are, they've been through a hurricane and the building has been totally destroyed. There's mold growing inside of it. It's amazing what Mother Nature can do. But it's even more amazing to know that we know the God that controls Mother Nature, that can be there and that knows what happened to that church. And He knows that there's a MAPS team that's ready to come there and help. And when you bring those MAPS team in, not only do they help the church, but you get people out in the community saying, hey, what are those people doing over there? And when they find out that they're volunteering their time to be in a church to help them rebuild, it just brings a stir in the community. It brings people together. It makes people stand up. Those questions are being answered through the gospel. And the gospel is being spread. And what a better way, what a better thing to do than to reach our communities right here in the United States, to give the churches a boost and help them. There's somebody that's out there, we're thinking about you guys. If it's maybe it's a poor community, Becky and I are thinking about going to Jolo, West Virginia, to help on a project down there. Jolo, West Virginia is the poorest county in the country. It was a coal mining country. The coal mines have dried up, and the story that I saw the other day that was talking about it said that these people were making very good money, and all of a sudden it's all gone. And they're living well below the poverty level now, and it's just one person said that they'd gone to the community that looked almost like it was a third world country. Right here in our own world, right here in the United States. And that blows my mind that we can have those type of areas right here in the United States, and then walk down the street and go by mansions and people, two people living in a 6,000 square foot home. It kind of makes you wonder sometimes. But we know that God has miraculous things for us to do, and that He's using maps to do that. And He's using faith promises and you guys to continue to help support missionaries so that we can go do what we do and fulfill God's call in our lives. So Becky and I want to, again, don't forget our table up back. Please, we have prayer cards back there. Please come by. Grab a prayer card. If you've got questions about the RV and how to join it, we can do that. Becky and I, we're trying to recruit people to come alongside of us and help us with our MAPS program and with our short-term missions teams. We'd love to have you. We'd love to host you someplace in the United States on a team, on a project someplace to help out. But anyway, come by and stop, see us. I'm going to turn this over to the pastor and let him talk a little bit more about faith promises this morning. But we really do appreciate you allowing us to come in this morning to share a little bit about MAPS, bring the word to you this morning. I hope it's touched your hearts, made you think a little bit, build that foundation on Christ. So, amen. Thank you.